Hey guys, welcome to Honey, We Need to Chat.
Where we believe when communication dies, bad things happen.
Here's a clip from our podcast.
Let's get chatting.
Honey, we need to chat.
All right, firstly, we're going to go through some questions. Where am I and what am I doing? Well, I'm in the usual location other than sitting in Blair's chair. I'm at home and I've just been working. So I have taken a little break to record this episode. Blair will have a different answer, obviously, because he is not here. But it's been all right. It hasn't been too bad solo parenting. I've actually had quite a bit of help from my mother-in-law, which is amazing. She's helping again tonight with some babysitting. For the most part, it's really good. It's just when everyone needs something at the same time that is pretty exhausting. And I'm not very good at self-discipline in terms of getting to bed on time. So when Blair is not here, I become a bit of a loose cannon and I stay up way too late and then I have the consequences of that the next morning. So that is probably the most chaotic or worst part of it. The only other thing, I do walk around a little bit like a zombie when I walk around like a zombie when I've been parenting in general. When I get to like rehearsal for my show, or if I go out to the shops and I'm suddenly engaging with other people other than just my children or my husband, I do walk around like a little bit of a zombie, but it's probably tenfold when Blair's not here and my brain's just like so full of stuff that I need to be doing. So my little funny chaotic moment of the day is that, I did not go to bed early. And when I say early, I mean I didn't go to bed until it was early. Sorry, babe.
Hey guys, I am currently on a work trip. I flew up here into Rockhampton on, what was it? I think it was Wednesday. I flew here, early Wednesday morning, flew up here just for we had a progress report meeting, fun stuff with our project happening up here with the organisation I work for, Dad's Group, the non-profit organisation. And then today we had a big networking collaboration meeting with all the different organisations in this region, talking about how we can work together better, but also how can we have a greater impact together or even individually and sort of navigating through some of the challenges that we're having. For all of us, right, in this mental health space, the biggest challenge that we all find is engaging dads, right? We want to support dads because we know that the more supported dads are, the greater support the family gets. So the importance of dads getting support and encouraged and equipped and all of that sort of stuff is it's just really important. But for example, a stat that we talk about is 1 in 10 dads suffer from postnatal depression. Now, majority of people don't know dads can get postnatal depression. And of those 1 in 10 dads, 56% of them don't go seeking help and support. And so, that's a big thing. It's not even just unique to us as an organization, it's to all organizations. Supporting dads is really hard because it's not dads, sorry, it's men. Supporting men in the mental health space is very hard because there's a lot of stigma around support for guys. There's another stats that we looked at about how high percentage of men see getting help and support as a sign of weakness. And then with that comes pride and all that sort of thing. It's just really sad because I know for myself when I'm, trying to figure stuff out and I can make no sense of things and I make things worse. It's just a very isolating and difficult situation. But now that I'm in this place where, I do get help, I've seen counselors and stuff before. I'm a part of my dad's group and so forth. I've just seen the benefits of that support. And I don't, my story, my struggles are not unique to myself. And so, seeing that from other people has been really fantastic. It's hard. I always find it very hard to go away for work. I'm really tired. Some great stuff's happening. It's exciting in the work front what's happening, but I always just get this sense of guilt whenever having to leave the family and things. So it's not really chaotic, wouldn't be the right word I would say, but it's difficult. I don't enjoy leaving the family to go away for work.
All right. The next one is 3 things I appreciate about you, Blair, today. So today I went to the shops after I dropped the kids at school. I had to get some clothes for our baby who is actually 2 today, which is really exciting, except for the fact that Blair's not here. And when I was walking out of one of the shops, somebody came out of a shop ahead of me and he kind of had the same body, what is it called? Demeanor? That's not the word I'm trying to say, but the way that he held his body as gait as Blair. And all of a sudden when I saw it, I was like, oh, I miss Blair. So that's one thing I appreciate about him. Just being here. It's something I appreciate about him. Another thing is he is so good at maintaining the house and doing stuff with the kids. I've been making lunches for the kids, obviously, in the mornings. And that has actually become his job for the last, I don't know how many months, maybe 6 months now. So just having to think about things like getting the lunches done is just another task when you're trying to get all the kids out the door for school. And it's stuff like that when he's not here, not finally, because I do appreciate it at the time, but I can really feel the absence of the stuff that he just naturally does that isn't super easy to notice at the time. So things like getting dinner ready, things like, him just being able to put one or more of the children down so that I can put one or more of the children down and we don't have to do the whole task ourselves. The dishes piled up very quickly. So that was it too. Him not being here to help with some of those things, which he tends to be a little bit more natural at than me anyway. So yeah, definitely stuff like what he fills in the house, just not being here is something that I appreciate a lot about him when he's not here. And then the other one, which I already alluded to, is the rhythms that he brings. I do not like going to bed. I just don't like it. I don't like going to bed. I like being in bed, but I don't like going to sleep. It's probably a better way of saying this. And my little rebellious 18-year-old still exists inside of me where it gets late and then I just want to stay up later. And I definitely enjoy the late hours of the night. Blair is much, much better at being like, we should go to bed, and then going to bed. So when he's not here, I really am a loose cannon. I also sometimes just float around a little bit like, not sure what I'm doing or who I am. Yeah, definitely. That's another thing that I appreciate is his consistency and his rhythms, even though on the nights when he is here and he's saying we should go to bed, I don't always feel like I appreciate it in that moment, but I do appreciate it the next morning. So that's what I appreciate about you, babe. One thing I will say on top of that is I am an introvert, and I do enjoy a lot of time to myself a lot of the time when people talk about things like quarantine for COVID. And I know this is so naive. I remember being like 14 days in a hotel room by myself. Yes, please. And I would go loopy if I did that. But the idea of it sounds really good. And every now and then I hear these stories of people doing things on their own and I'm like, yes, please. Or, Mother's Day treat for me is that Blair sends me out of the house to go do something by myself. And that's just who I tend to be. But when he's not here, I do realize how much I rely on that consistent presence around me. And I do get a little bit loopy. Like I do start talking to myself. And sometimes I walk around the house and do weird things. So like just weird facial expressions, or I don't even want to dive too much more into that because all my respect from you guys will go right out the window. But yes, I definitely miss when he's not here, his presence and the grounding that comes with that. So I love you, baby. So now we've got a choose your own big question segment. So I don't know which one Blair will have responded to, but I'm choosing the question, what's something you wish you were better at right now? Something that I wish I was better at right now. It's a big answer, and it's kind of hard to explain, but definitely something that I have been working on in terms of my mental health over my whole life, but especially the last 6 months to a year, is recognizing some of the stuff that goes on for me. And I have definitely alluded to it on the podcast before, but I really wish I was better at setting aside some of the weight that I carry inside. I was having a little reflection moment the other night, actually, while Blair was gone. And I just was like, sometimes I just have this glimpse of lightness and joy and, freedom, or just fun, just light joyfulness. Sometimes there'll be a moment that just is injected into me for whatever reason, whether something fun has happened, good has happened, or it's just one of those moments where you're like, oh, look at my family. I experienced that. And when I experience that lightness inside is when I'm really aware of the heaviness that I carry all the time. And I really am determined to figure out a way to be carrying myself and the things around me a lot lighter than I do, because it's not when heavy things happen, you're going to be stressed or overwhelmed, anxious, whatever you want to say with that. But it's not just that. It's not just when something heavy and big is going on. It's often when there's nothing. If you look on paper, it doesn't look like anything should be weighing that heavily, but I just allow these little things to weigh really heavily. And then unfortunately, that trickles out into my family. I'm very aware that influences how I act with my kids or with Blair, influences the vibe of the house, influences my priorities and my motivation. And I also just really believe that we are called to and allowed to enjoy joy regardless of circumstances. And that's part of our Christian faith is that element, but also just in general, I believe that. And I am trying to work on getting that without having to wait for those special, really special little glimmers. I think they call it glimmer moments where you're like, oh, I want that more often. And I want the heaviness much less often. So that is something I wish I was better at for a plethora of reasons.
So what does staying connected actually look like when life is busy? That's a great question, and something that, Amy and I have definitely put time in. We are quite intentional, but at the same time, it's very easy to be too busy to think about, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that we definitely continue to work on. We're constantly going up and down with busy stages of life, either with kids or work or podcasting or whatever else it is. Like, Amy's just done an amazing job setting up her new coaching business, which is absolutely fantastic. But in that comes a real sense of busyness. And she's also doing a theatre. She's doing a show at the theatre, our local theatre, and I'm, doing volleyball once a week as well. And we've got quite busy lives, and I think for us, we have really had to, we always keep catching ourselves. We notice like that we go through a long period in that business where we haven't been intentional, we haven't really connected well, and I think for us, we've just recently gone on our 10-year wedding anniversary. We went away and we were able to reflect on that sort of stuff. We were able to reflect on, well, how are we going? How, what can we do differently? What can we do going forward? What's important in that connection? Like, what does connection actually look like? And we went through a number of different things, different topics and ideas and so forth. But so when it says, like, when the question is, what does staying connected actually look like when life is busy? It varies. We might go through times of date nights could be that. It might be what we need, or just being physically intimate. It might be what we need in that time, or just, close, just spending time. It might be just relaxing, watching a movie or whatever else. It might be going for a walk or whatever. There's not one thing. It's down to what are we needing in that moment. Maybe it's a massage, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. It's really having that conversation. We've had to have those conversations to identify what we need in those moments. I think first of all, it's identifying that, hey, we're not connecting. We're busy. We're not connecting. We haven't had that intentional time with each other. Then it's about a matter of like, cool, well, what does that look like for you? And I would share what it looks like for me. And then putting things in place based on what our needs are in that moment. But yeah, there's not one thing. It's whatever's needed in that moment. But what it looks like, actually, to go back to it, is in everything we keep saying, having the conversation, being aware of it, having the conversation, and putting something in place to go forward.